The Annapurna Circuit in Nepal, one of the premier trekking destinations in the world. Every year, over 100,000 travelers come to this area to trek some of the highest mountains and most stunning scenery of the Himalaya. To understand the lives of the people living in the world's highest mountains, our group trekked for 4 days through them. But there's a little known and often underappreciated group of people who help trekkers make their journey: porters. These men, who largely lack education and come from rural farming or mountainous areas, are literally the backbone of the trekking industry. For many trekkers, they carry the loads and luggage needed for days or weeks of mountain journeys. Their jobs are hazardous and pay little relative to the hard labor that they do. And for a number of porters interviewed in June of 2016, this was their first portering job since the April 2015 earthquake struck a severe blow to Nepal's tourism industry.
कति दिन थकाइ मार्न पाउँछ पोखरामा?
थकाइ भन्ने कुरो त एउटा कस्तो हुन्छ भने सर यसरी
After the earthquake of 2015 April, the work came down to zero. He spent many months working as a daily laborer, doing different types of odd jobs, and now suddenly it has started again. After the earthquake, this is the first group is taking up.
But despite the hardships, porters also say they prefer to do this job than other manual labor ones available to them, because of the opportunity for travel, to meet those from other countries, and because, sometimes, it's better than other options.
अनि त्यो उता कोइला खानीमा चाहिँ कस्तो काम हुन्छ नि?
त्यही कोइला भित्रबाट निकाल्ने हो सर.
After the earthquake, again he didn't get work, so he went to India to work in the coal mines. But because he felt unwell, he returned after 40 days, stayed home, did farming, and then after that, this is also his first trek after the earthquake.
Ek Raj Thapa got his start in the trekking industry as a porter 21 years ago. He's now worked his way up to trekking guide. Like many in this profession, Tapa's got war stories from times when things went dangerously wrong on trekking routes.
And of course, the most difficult time was he was with a group of 14 Hungarians and himself in Tibet when there was a blizzard and it blew away all the tents. They could not collect the tents and had to actually stay near a rock and spend the night.
And what area was that in?
Chomolungma. Chomolungma, the Everest base camp on the other side.
Purna Tamang, who's had 5 years' experience as a porter and received his guide's license last year, recalled a potentially fatal accident involving porters' main piece of equipment, the head strap they use to carry heavy loads.
It was a very slippery road that was winding, and then he fell about, say, a 1.5-story house in terms of the height. But then what happened was the road was a winding road, so he fell from that top spot and actually jumped 2 or 3 roads and landed on the grass below and got stuck there. It was raining, and then there was a lot of grass, meaning things growing all around. And then if he had gone to the bottom of that cliff, let's say a cliff, then he could have banged on a rock. But then he was trying to go down, trying to grab on anything, and finally managed to grab some grass. But then he says he almost died because the rope used to carry the load. It actually came and got him here.
On the last day of our trek, porter Dokal Singh Rai takes a hard fall, cutting his leg. Over the last 10 years or more, organizations have sprung up dedicated to protecting porter safety and working rights. Some of the porters say they belong to these organizations. In addition to difficulties on the trail, porters' loads and ability to bear hardship can at times seem superhuman.
When he started trekking in the early 90s, he used to carry loads of 55 to 60 kilos. And he's done that trek with 55 to 60 kilos around the Annapurna 22 days. Now, if needed, he can carry that load even now, but then if needed, but then there's this trekking union that says you cannot carry more than 25, above 15 and under 25. When he started portering, the money was 120 rupees without food, without bedding, nothing.
And considering the loads they are carrying, one can't help but notice that their choice of footwear is, well, not the most obvious one for the highest mountains in the world.
He could have worn shoes, but because this is the rainy season, walking in flip-flops is more comfortable, because if it were shoes, you'll have to dry it for the next day. In winter, they use shoes to be warm.
While the conditions of the job itself might be challenging, the challenge for many porters in the past year has been to find work at all.
The tourists were coming after the 2015 earthquake, but there was this, newspapers had said that Nepal is totally devastated, you can't go there, and more so after an avalanche in the Langtang Valley buried an entire village, then they stopped coming. The tourists are coming back because despite the earthquake and the gas shortage, now things have improved. And what he says is people have actually stocked up quite well, and says that maybe for about a year, I think they'll find a way to take tourists to where they want to go. So now they're better prepared for that.
But despite all of this, all the porters and guides we spoke to said they preferred working in this field than others.
कोइला खानीमा चाहिँ कस्तो काम हुन्छ नि?
त्यही कोइला भित्रबाट निकाल्ने हो सर.
Because the income from trekking brings some income, and his farming is enough to produces enough to feed the family, and this helps in that household expenditure. So that's why he's doing it. He started this trekking, portering for tourists because he wanted to know, like, a lot of tourists come to Nepal, how would it be like to travel with them? And then he enjoyed it. A lot of people come and then we go with them to different places. And after seeing those different places, the pain on that head, it just goes away.
And slowly,
Okay.
Wow.
Happy birthday song.
Wow.
Finish.